Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce people who are joining us today. To my left is Counsel to the Governor, Mylan Dennerstein. To my immediate right, Benjamin Lawsky, Superintendent of the Department of Financial Services. To his right, George Haggerty, who's been handling all the insurance issues related to the storm and has been doing very good work. As you know, as we're working our way through the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, there are a multitude of issues that have been coming up, but there are several major issues that affect a predominant number of people involved in the situation. The first major issue we had to deal with was the issue of the utilities and getting power on, and that was one of those issues that just affected people all across the board. One of the next issue that is like that in scale and scope is the issue of insurance coverage. We're getting many complaints from people who say we have insurance coverage, but we can't contact the insurance company, we can't get adjusters to show up at the property, we can't get the claim acknowledged and covered, and therefore they can't get to a contractor and start the repair work because they haven't been able to get through the insurance process. The problem is one of just scale and quantity. You have about 360,000 people that have insurance claims right now. So you can imagine the overwhelming task of getting 360,000 claims adjudicated and administered in a relatively short period of time. We've met with the insurance companies. I met personally with many of the insurance companies. We've discussed the situation. I understand their point of view, and I understand the volume. I also understand the point of view of the people who need to get their homes repaired, and I understand the point of view of the consumers and the citizens who paid for an insurance policy, who paid coverage, and expect the insurance company to now do their job. So to alleviate this problem, we're taking several actions today, and the Department of Financial Services is going to be publishing emergency regulations that I think are going to make a significant difference. The first regulation will reduce the amount of time that the insurance companies have to get an adjuster to the home. The current law is 15 business days by which an adjuster has to show up at the residence, if you will. That is going to be reduced to 6 business days. So an insurance company will have 6 business days from the time that they are contacted by the homeowner to have an adjuster at the home, which is obviously the first step in the process. The second regulation, which will be truly impactful, will say if there is a health or safety issue, the homeowner can proceed with work even though the adjuster hasn't come to the home. So if there's a health or safety issue, heat, hot water, or the electrical connections that you need to provide heat, hot water, lights, if it's a health and safety issue, the homeowner can proceed without an adjuster coming to the house. In that case, and you'll see on the DFS website, the homeowner has to keep records, has to keep pictures, has to keep a record of the parts that are replaced, has to keep all receipts. But if it's a health and safety issue, go ahead and make the repair, and the insurance companies will cover it. Third, we're going to sign an executive order that increases the number of what's called public adjusters. These are adjusters who are available to basically be advocates for the homeowner. There was a very small number of them. We'll be increasing the number of public adjusters. And fourth, the Department of Financial Services will put on their website a report card on the insurance companies that are handling these claims. So they will be held accountable for their performance. And the report card will have how many claims they were administering, how long it took to get to a claim, how long it took for an adjuster to get to the claim, how many complaints each insurance company had, so people can see how their insurance company or other insurance companies are performing through this crisis, and they may want to take that into consideration when they shop their policy in the future. The regulations will go into effect immediately, And I think this is going to make a major, major difference, because as I said, when you're out there now, this is probably the largest single hurdle that people are facing, and it is all across the board. It's in all the affected areas. People who just can't get the insurance companies to respond, they can't get the adjusters to the house, and therefore they can't get the construction started. And we believe this is going to make a significant difference. I want to thank the insurance companies in advance for their cooperation. Again, I understand their situation, and I understand their dilemma, and I understand what it must be like. I can imagine what it must be like to deal with 360,000 claims. But frankly, this is a health and safety issue, and people need heat on, and they need the electricity on, and that has to come first, and these regulations will accomplish that. Any questions?
Governor, you mentioned there's a 6-day period you have before placing a call. What about the folks who've been waiting for a month for these adjusters to show up?
Ben, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So the previous regulation, as the governor pointed out, was 15 business days. So for something that happened previously, it's the shorter of what's left on the 15 business days or 6 days from today. So no one should have to wait any longer than 6 days. But if
I'm sorry, if you had contacted before, the shorter of the period of time that was in place at that time, which was 15 business days, so the shorter 15 business days or 6 days, right?
And what is your sense in terms of, are there not enough adjusters? Are people lower down on the priority list? Or
You know, it was,
why aren't the adjusters getting out?
in some ways, it was what we went through with the utility companies. It is a historic volume of problems. You have 360,000 claims, all coming in at roughly the same period of time. You know, what happened here was you had hundreds of thousands of homes that had no power, and we worked through that issue. The power came on at about the same time. When the power came on, the phones started to ring in the insurance companies. And those people then called their insurance company and said, get an adjuster out here right away. And there were 360,000 covered households. And that's the insurance company's point. You know, we've never had this demand in this short a period of time before. And they don't have the staff, they don't have the adjusters, et cetera. Now, they have been doing, I believe, very creative things. They're bringing adjusters in from all across the country. And I understand their situation. It was like the situation of the utility companies, but I represent the people of the state, and I represent the consumer and the citizens, and this is a health and safety issue. So we can do it either way. Either the adjusters come in a shorter period of time, or if it's a health and safety issue, let the people go ahead and do the construction, but they'll keep the receipts, they'll document it, they'll sign a statement, but the coverage shouldn't dictate the time period to make people safe in their own homes.
And is there a financial penalty for the insurance company if they don't send the adjuster out in 6 days?
If they don't, there's a penalty of $1,000 per occurrence. Also, this will reflect their performance. The state regulates the insurance industry, and if an insurance company is not providing adequate service or fair service, then the state could decide that they shouldn't be performing that service in the state of New York.
The mid-year budget report came out and was a little bit late, but it presumably because of Sandy, but didn't reflect, perhaps changes because of what might.
Exactly right, because we don't really have the effect of Sandy. It hasn't shown up in the numbers yet. The mid-year report was basically where we were, plus or minus, but it does not reflect the effect of Sandy. We can speculate that it may have an effect on revenue, but we don't really know yet. We'll know in about a month or so, is my guess, when we start to get the next collections.
Overall economic impact, and you mentioned Katrina last week, do you think this will wind up being worse?
Well, Katrina first, worse. In terms of the highest cost is the human toll, and Katrina obviously was much, much worse. In terms of the impact on homes and businesses, I think this will be worse because of the nature of New York. You know, it's a function of the density here. You have hundreds of thousands of homes that are affected, and businesses, just because we are so dense.
Supreme Court may look at the Eric issue and they will take that up with Washington. I'm just curious if you're concerned at all, is New York protected with that seems to be a role back here?
I think we've done everything that we can do, and I feel very good about what the state has done on marriage equality, the precedent that it set, and I'm proud of it.
Governor, those were reported times today that some homeowners could face premium increases for flood insurance. You spoke to insurance companies about premiums.
No, the flood insurance program, we've also worked with the FEMA and the flood insurance program on the issues that we just discussed before, on the adjusters, et cetera. And these same regulations will basically be in effect for the flood insurance program. No, the flood insurance program is a federal program. They have to keep the program solvent, and they need premiums to keep the program solvent. I understand that. Obviously, as low as they can keep the premiums, the better, so that low and middle income people can afford it. But they have to run the program, and that's a federal program. I'll leave it to them. You have enough on our hands right now trying to run our own programs.
Are you going to go to Washington to talk to officials about getting that FEMA money that you need?
I will do whatever is helpful and constructive to do. I've been working very hard in lining up support. First, as you know, we met with the congressional delegation. We gave all the specifics on the package and a lot of information on exactly what we needed. We committed with that congressional delegation to work in a bipartisan manner, and we're doing that. I've been working closely with Governor Christie. We're working with Governor Malloy in Connecticut so that we have a regional compact. That's one of the things that has been suggested, and that's what we're doing. I spoke to Senator Mary Landrieu about this issue, and her committee is going to be very important. And we had positive conversations. I spoke with Secretary Lieberman from Connecticut, who's in charge of the appropriating committee. There are going to be two issues for us, not just how much money we get, but how flexible the money is. You know, there are, you can get a certain amount of funds, but how you can use those funds is also very important. So Senator Lieberman, who is the appropriator, the authorizer, basically determines through authorization the structure of the program. This will be an appropriation, so having his cooperation with Mary Landrieu could make a difference. So we've been working with him. And Peter King, who has been speaking with Mr. Boehner on the House side. And the House, if you ask my political judgment, we have to get it passed by the Senate and the House. If it's going to be, my guess is it's going to be trickier on the House side. So working with Peter King is very important.
Your sense is that it wouldn't necessarily help the process if you were now to get the
It might, exactly, whatever we can do. You know, I've been following Peter King's advice on the House side. Obviously, I'm staying very close to Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand on the Senate side. We've been working with the administration and OMB and Secretary Donovan. So however they think we can help, we will help. Sure. Thank you very much.